So now we're going to take a look at table, creating a table. And if you look at tutorial point on Create Table, they have this example of the syntax for creating a table, column, data type, and then primary key down here. But if you look at like the way a lot of them are written, its primary key is up here, right? And so I don't quite know what to make of that, you know, that they have it different. So we're just going to go with the example way as opposed to the other way. And so here's like the example. It's just create a table, and then the table name, and then the field name. So these are field names. And then the data type. These are data types. And then whether or not primary key, and you know the constraints after it, whether or not it's not null. So it's just basically create table, the table name, parentheses, and then semicolon to end it. And then it's going to be field data type constraint. Field data type constraint. So, you know, that might be, you know, it's create. It's a weird. It's create table, table name, parens, and then field. So when you see things like this, it's like for you to enter field, data type, constraints. Okay, and then repeat. And so this is stuff for you to enter in the brackets. So create table, table name, and then I guess we should do it like this. Create table, table name, and then field, data type, constraints. So what are PostgreSQL data types? PostgreSQL data types. We can look that up, and here's something. And then here's documentation, 9.5 data types. If we come here, PostgreSQL manuals, PostgreSQL 9.5, we could come back to manuals. And here's 10, here's 11, here's 9.6. We could go to 10, and we could look for type. And then down there is data types. And we could come in here and we could read about data types. But this is the horse's mouth. This is the official documentation. I don't know if you've heard that phrase. Get it from the horse's mouth. Is that a phrase? No? You've heard it? What's that mean? It means like the real stuff, right? I don't know why that means the real stuff, getting it from the horse's mouth. Nor are you supposed to look a gift horse in the mouth. I know what that means. Like if somebody gives you a horse, you're not supposed to check its teeth and say, yeah, but its teeth aren't that good. You're just supposed to say thank you. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. There's some wacky idioms. Like there are many ways to skin a cat. Like what dark woods in Alabama did that phrase come from? Or, you know, don't beat a dead horse. Leroy, that horse is already dead. Quit beating it. You sure? Pretty sure that horse is dead. Don't beat a dead horse, Leroy. You're wasting your energy. All right, so here's the horse's mouth. This official documentation. We have numeric types, monetary types. So we can look at numeric types. We can see what it has here. Small int, big int, integer, decimal, numeric, real, double, small, you know. And we're talking about different sizes that are being stored. 2 bytes, 4 bytes, 8 bytes, varies, 48248, right? Integer type. And here SQL only specifies the integer types, integer or int. So when we specify int, right, which we did here, int, that seems to be one of the things that we could use just to refer to integer. So we might even be able to type integer there if we wanted, but we've just typed int. We have text here. So if we go back and we look for text, which will be like under text search types, JSON types, arrays, composites, range. We can store all kinds of types. numeric, monetary, character types. Character, text, right? There's one of our types that we could store in our field. And it's variable, unlimited length. Here we have fixed length, blank padded, variable length. So there's like a lot of subtleties as you get into creating databases where, you could develop expertise in knowing that, well, when you're storing character, you could have character varying in varchar in, right? So you could have varchar in. Variable length with a limit, which means you can't store too much stuff in this field because we don't want somebody storing the entire Library of Congress in a field and filling up our database. So we're going to do varchar in or char, fixed length, blank padded. I don't know what blank padded means. At some point that might become relevant. That's one of our,
I think that's like if it only fits 6 things and you only put 3 characters, the rest would just be blank.
Yeah.
It will always fill those 6 characters. I think.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, so lots of things to learn about, right? But right now we're just using text. And the important takeaway, horse's mouth, official documentation. Like if you really get into this, you start reading that from the beginning because you got to know it. Whatever you program in, you read the language specification, the official documentation to understand the people who created it, what they meant by it. Not to read somebody's post. That's not the people who created it. You read people who created it, what they wrote about it. That's the official documentation, super important. So create table, table name, field, data type, and constraints. We will learn about constraints coming down here in a second. Constraints, we'll learn a little bit more about those. But right here out of the get-go, we got that, and then we have some examples, right? Create table, company is the table name, and then some entries. So to practice this, let's make sure I'm recording. I would come over here, I'd list out my databases. I'm going to, right now I'm there, I'm going to drop database, movie rentals. And by the way, this is why I code on a Mac or on Unix or Linux, Mac or Linux, as opposed to Windows. All y'all are having some wacky, funny errors, right? Because you're trying to run these commands on Windows and it didn't work, so you re-enter it and then it works. And you're like, what? It's the exact same command. I just hit the up arrow. It didn't work the first time. It worked the second time. Why? I don't know. Because you're on Windows. Right? That's why I'm on a Mac for coding or Linux. So now I could create database, call it whatever I want. I could list my database, and then I could switch into sample. And then I could create table and table name, I don't know, customers, and I'm going to have open paren, and then what happens? Field, data type, constraints, right? So field, customer ID, data type, int, constraint, primary key, I should probably do it like this, int, primary key, not null, comma, and then C first. So field name, data type, constraints, semicolon, done. Right? So create table, table name, and then just field name, data type, field name, data type, constraints. Create table. Now I can list my tables. Give me the details. And there's that customers table. Customers table. And I could detail customers, and it's customers table, CID, C first, integer, text. I entered int, and it stored it as integer. Oh, that's cool. We just learned that from the language specification, from the official documentation. Nice. Right? And they both had the constraint not null, and CID is my primary key. I don't know what binary tree is or whatever. It's an index. It's an index that was created. Now I have my table created, and it's ready to insert data. So I want you all to destroy whatever database you have, create a new database, create a table. No, we don't have time for it. I'm sorry. You're going to have to do that later. We're at 9:34. I got a few more things to show you. Cool. So you can watch this video at home, and then you could do that.